How's it going today, guys? AbDogNA here, back with another video on TFT Set 4. And in today's video, we're going to be just showcasing some of the cool stuff that I haven't shown in some of my other videos. Um, in this video, we end up pushing for a Divine Duelist composition. We also end up getting a pretty strong Yasuo that ends up taking over most of the game, and we also end up getting a Yone. So we do get the 2 Exile bonus, which is really cool to see, and I hope you guys enjoy this part of the video here. Um, I do get the Yasuo Duelist chosen here right at the beginning of the game, which is honestly really strong, and I wish I would have itemized more towards him. I ended up just putting some Thieves Gloves on him so he would get whatever items. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoy the video. So in the early game, I know most of my viewers are new to TFT or they're not as experienced. In the early game, you really want to try to find those uh, champions that are going to create a synergy for you that are going to be really helpful. I did find an early level 2 Janna, and Janna can be really strong because with a level 2 you shield 3 units, every time she casts her ultimate, granting attack damage and then that shield, which it can be really helpful. And as you can see here, like it's still my Yasuo Duelist, my Exile, my Ninja, they're not strong enough to take on a few of these teams early, but you're not trying to stay at the very top of the leaderboards. You're not trying to continually win streak. It's more about staying at the middle to top of the leaderboards. And if you're really looking for items and you're really struggling, you don't want to have a bunch of strong champions to keep you up higher. You want to get a little lower so you can get the items that you need to make that comeback in the late game. So that's why I picked up my Kennen here. I have my Janna too. That's really to make it a little bit easier for myself throughout this game here. Um, I ended up picking up a Ashe here in a little bit and putting those items on her temporarily, and I ended up putting those on the Warwick. But Warwick, I just uh, I really wish I would have got the rapid fire cannon, because when you can get a rapid fire cannon on Warwick, you can do some really crazy AoE damage. And I do use an Ophelios here also as a transfer unit with my items. Can be really strong. Because Ophelios, if you can get a level 2 Ophelios in the early game with really good items on him, he can really help you solidify a more top position. So now here we've secured our level 3 Yasuo. We've also secured our Ashe, and we've secured our 4 Duelist 2 Enlightened. This is a pretty strong mid-game carry here. We're going to continue looking for our Duelists, so we find our Callista here. Very important that if you're going for 8 Duelists, like I was this game, I did not actually achieve that goal because I could not get my bow for my spatula, which is unfortunate. I didn't even end up using that spatula at all this game, which is a little sad. But we did get 6 Duelists here. As you can see, I took out the Janna, but I'm going to hold on to her because I know that once I hit level 7, she will also be very strong to stick back into my comp, which I'm excited for. And put my Dragon's Claw, my MR item here on the Jax. Very strong. Instead of reducing 50% of magic damage like last set, it is now reducing 63%, which, that makes a big difference, especially when you're playing against teams like Vigar, where if he kills you, that it can continue snowballing that round, and you'll lose depending on the first champion that dies there. So I keep pushing through here. I'm not as worried about economy because I'm trying to keep my health up, and I keep acquiring my duelists. Here we continue to grab our duelist champions, and here's where I make my mistake of putting my thieves gloves on my Yasuo. Now if I were to do this game over again, I would have put my thieves gloves on my Jax and put my defensive item there, the Dragon's Claw, on my Yasuo, because he ends up doing most of the damage in this game. I was hoping that Ashe there was going to do a lot more than she ended up doing, but it's just how the game goes. You gotta slowly learn what champions work well with others, and I was hoping also to put my Duelist spatula on that Ashe. Couldn't even find a second Ashe to Nico's help, so that strategy there didn't end up working out like I had planned it to. But as you can see, like Ashe just doesn't do as much damage as you would expect her to with those items on her. It was a little interesting to see that difference there from having an Ashe carry game yesterday that didn't quite pan out, but she was doing a lot of damage to seeing her not do very much damage at all. I understand that she didn't have any synergy here, but still I would expect a little bit more from a four-star champion with items, or four-cost champion with items on her. But that's why we live and we learn. The PBE is a place where they are changing things constantly, and the strength of these different champions is going to change tremendously before we see the new update here on September 16th. This next carousel, I was really looking for my bow um, so that I could do the Duelist spatula item. I was really sad that I was last pick here, so really gave me very little hope about actually getting that item for myself and creating that strong, strong, strong team comp. I will be striving to get that for you guys here on the PBE at some point, but I just wanted to kind of highlight like the synergy between Duelist and Divine that can be really, really impactful. Because the Duelist and Divine traits, they really go hand in hand. I was really hoping to put my Duelist trait on my Warwick here so that he would have the same strength as say, a Yasuo with the lifesteal and with the tankiness. But it just doesn't end up happening that way like I had hoped. Um, so we end up putting our tank items on the Jax here. So he has a Warmogs and a Dragon's Claw, taking very little magic damage, being able to block auto attacks with his ultimate ability. Very, very strong, but at the same time, I feel like Thieves' Gloves would have done just as well on him with the random items. I was continuing to look for that bow here in this round. Um, I end up not finding it, unfortunately. I really wanted to be able to get that 8 Duelist gameplay for you guys. Um, but I end up getting my two rods here for a death cap, and the death cap didn't really speak to me here in this composition. It wasn't something that I was really looking for, but it's how it goes, especially when you're playing TFT on a new set. You really got to feel things out. You got to know what you can stretch for item-wise, and unfortunately here, I was just one bow short this game from having a pretty cool gameplay. I mean, I still ended up having a really good gameplay. I see 4 Teemos here, which would be really funny. Free level 2 Teemo. I would have easily had level 3 Teemo this game if I had gone for that. There's another one. It's silly. But here I'm thinking about transferring my items onto the Warwick. I'm waiting for a Warwick 2 because that Ashe is just not doing the damage that she needs to be doing. It just takes way too long for her to take out carries, and that Warwick has that free lifesteal built into his kit, which is really strong. But as you can see here in that clip there, um, the Dragon's Claw really does save you from characters like Vigar. Um, he can't continue to mow down your team with his ultimate if he can't seem to kill that first person. So that's just a little pro tip there, that Dragon's Claw really strongly counters Vigar. I get to the 5th carousel here where we start getting full items. This is how TFT kind of adjusts throughout the game. The carousel at round 5-4 here, it begins to give you full items. I went for that Lee Sin. Person across from me ends up grabbing the Lee Sin, so I end up getting the Gargoyle Stoneplate, which is one of the new items in the game, which I see as being very, very strong. Especially when you want to have a solo tank, mostly carry team composition. It's nothing really better than that. Every character that is targeting that particular unit with that item on does gains 25 magic resist and armor per character on him. I put that on the Warwick here give him the tank stats, the offensive stats that he needs to do well. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to do what I want to do. I end up putting the death cap on Yone here, get the Exile buff so that they are both getting giant shields, both getting lifesteal. Very, very strong. And we'll kind of see how this does here. I was a little worried because I did want the rapid fire cannon on my Warwick. That didn't end up happening. I wanted the duelist buff on my Warwick. That didn't end up happening. I just did not get enough bows this game. But as you can see, the Warwick does tear through those teams where they can't really deal with him. Um, really, really strong. I have a feeling that Warwick's going to be a very sought after champion when this new patch hits live. He's also got the divine buff, which grabs him that extra true damage on hit. Um, that really can shred through teams. So we have our level 3 Jax, we have our level 2 Warwick, our level 3 Yasuo, our Yone with his rune or death cap, sorry. But I'm really curious to see how strong this composition is going to be. It looks really strong on paper, and as I start fighting some people, I realize that AoE damage is not my best friend here, and that Vigar is really going to do a lot of work, as well as that Ashe, or not Ashe, Ari, sorry. Goodness, I can't talk this morning. But in this final carousel here, I am looking for that Lee Sin, and I realize that I'm going to be first picking here. I snag that Lee Sin nice and easy, and that will push me to my 4 Divine. I end up taking out Callista for my Lee Sin, throwing that Spear Shojin on my Lee Sin, as well as that item that's already on him, creating a pretty strong character. But unfortunately, he can't seem to do as much as the enemy Lee Sin, who is level 2 and also has a death cap on him. Just a very strong character to have to deal with. I'm looking for that last Lee Sin here, can't find it. I end up just putting my Nikos on my Yone because I was getting a little impatient, a little worried that I was going to get knocked out here. And Yone does a lot of damage. She does a lot of AoE damage. I knew that that death cap was going to get some good use out of it. Heading into this last fight here, I'm a little bit concerned with how much damage I'm going to be able to do, how much AoE I'm going to have to deal with. As you can see here, we're moving in, and you see that Lee Sin with that death cap is just so scary, because he's going to be one-shotting units. He's going to be making sure that he kicks units out of the map here, and that AoE it's so hard to deal with. You got that set, you have to deal with the Galio, and if that Warwick would have that rapid fire cannon on him, it would be a little bit of a different story. Um, just that set and doing that percentage damage, just so scary. But second place, I'll take it all day long. Just learning a little bit more about how Divine and Duelist work together. Learning a bit more about what champions need more items. But, you know, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys are liking it so far. I hope you comment, rate, and subscribe for more. And have a great day, guys. Thank you.